This song's pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually Lil Huddy.
Lil Huddy. This is Kevin MacLeod.
Well, no. We're listening to Lil Huddy. But in the video, I had to change it to Kevin MacLeod. Because UMG and all that. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm literally you, just wearing a slightly different outfit. I didn't even change pants.
They can't see the pants in this video. No.
I think this skit might be getting a little too meta.
Yeah, probably. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk about something that I've noticed and has made me ashamed of myself. And that is TikTok musicians are actually really good. And I'm not talking about musicians who started on TikTok to showcase their music, to build a platform around their music, because that's been a thing ever since the creation of social media. Musicians using that platform to build more of a platform. No, I am talking about people on social media who are doing one thing and then just make the switch over to music. I'm also not necessarily talking about the social media stars who have made a song or two as a joke.
Thank you to the viewers for staying around.
Have no fear, your hero is here.
Honestly, 9 years later, and I'm still unsure as to whether or not Super Love was a joke. There are musicians who use social media to grow. That's worked out really well for people like Shawn Mendes, Cavetown, Conan Gray, Ricky Montgomery. The last two were musicians for a while who ended up getting big off of TikTok. So to clarify, I'm talking mostly about people who were on social media doing one thing and then just one day made the switch over to music. The best examples of this on YouTube, I think, would be like Troye Sivan, Corpse Husband, The Worst, probably.
Maybe I'm the monster!
And this is something that's been happening for a long time on social media, like all platforms. But today I want to focus specifically on TikTok. My primary examples are going to be Dixie D'Amelio, Lil Huddy, and Jaden. And I already know the stereotypes surrounding TikTokers, that they're just these talentless kids who don't do anything except for dance and lip sync. The reason I'm focusing on these three is because those are three of the ones who were doing the dancing, the lip syncing thing. But I want to make it clear that I am talking about just their music and not their other content. Because shaming millennials for judging younger people for content that they don't understand is a completely different video. So even though they got popular from the same kind of content on TikTok, their music is all very different from one another. So today we're going to look at, why is TikTok music actually good? Obviously there are exceptions to this rule. When I was taking notes and writing for this video, I happened to come across the song Still Softish by Josh Richards. Just, what's the opposite of a bop? That song was a bonk. First off, we can't ignore what a phenomenon TikTok is for music. TikTok has this amazing ability to just popularize any song, just the most random song, and make it a huge hit. Now, most of these obviously are going to be more recent songs. A couple of Conan Gray songs ended up on Billboard charts because of TikTok. His album actually ended up in the top 200 albums for 2020 because of how much it blew up on TikTok. But it's not just modern music. Billy Joel released his song Zanzibar in 1978. It's not a popular song of his. I'm pretty sure that Billy Joel doesn't even know that Billy Joel wrote Zanzibar. But because some kids made a dance to it and it blew up, they added it to his Ultimate Hits playlist on Spotify. There are playlists, songs that got popular on TikTok that are 6, 8, 16 hours. It's pretty much the perfect platform for music. And with that, the perfect platform for big wigs in the music industry to make some money. I'm going to start off with Dixie D'Amelio because I feel like this is kind of a very simple example of taking a popular person and turning them into a product. It's kind of a meme to blast her song One Whole Day for the lyrics. One day, I was really, 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 really sad. And yeah, it's not the lyrics of the century, but I'm really not that bothered by it. The lyrics in all of her songs are pretty simple, but I think effective in what they're trying to do. Plus, most artists are going to have bad or cheesy lyrics at some point in their career. Bohemian Rhapsody by Queen is often talked about for how amazing and epic the lyrics are. Do you want to know what else Queen wrote towards the beginning of their career? I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride my bike. I want to ride my bicycle. I want to ride it where I like. Anytime I've brought this up, the argument has been something like, sometimes artists find it easier to use simple lyrics in an effective way. And I agree. And that's why the same applies to her song One Whole Day. But aside from that rant, the main songs that I want to talk about from all three of these artists are their first song, the first song they released. And with Dixie D'Amelio, that song was called Be Happy. James Marriott made a video where he talks about this song, and I kind of agree with a lot of the points he made. I'm probably being a broken record saying this, but the lyrics in that song, and probably all of the songs I'll be talking about today, are pretty simple, but I think effective. And I also really like the message behind it. In social media, there's like this huge problem with false positivity or forced positivity, kind of making kids feel like if they're not happy, they're doing life wrong. But Be Happy by Dixie D'Amelio kind of does the opposite. And the whole song is kind of saying it's okay to be sad. It opens with, sometimes I don't want to be happy, don't hold it against me. If I'm down, just leave me here, let me be sad. Basically saying, I'm not okay right now, and that's okay. Which I think is a fantastic message for younger people. Sometimes you're going to be down, and that's fine. It sucks, but you'll get over it. I just don't like the idea that so many creators are pushing this message to their young, impressionable audience that life is always going to be sunshine and rainbows. I looked really deep into the writer credits and all of these songs that I'm talking about. One thing I did notice, oddly enough, there's no producer listed, but there are several writers who wrote this song, and she is not one of the writers. No, stop, shut up, because I know what a lot of you are thinking. And we need to stop criticizing singers who don't write their own music. Like, that's super common in pop. I've never made pop music, but I've been in the studio with someone making pop music, and it is way more complex than the music that I've written. With the music that I've been a part of, it's a band. You've got one guy on drums, one or two guys on guitar, a bassist, and a singer. And that requires several people to have each different talents. With pop music, I don't understand how it's made. I just enjoy it. It's not necessarily a bad thing that pop artists often don't write their own music. And the way I see it, there are 4 main things that you look for when you hear a song, whether you think you're looking for it or not. That is, do you like the singer's voice? Do you like the instrumentals? The production? Is it nice and shiny? Does it sound good? And number 4, the lyrics. Now, not all songs have all 4 of these components, but for the majority of music, those are the 4 things that you're looking for. Even as someone who has played an instrument and who has written lyrics for most of my life, I find it so strange that people get so heated over pop artists not writing their own songs, or any artists, because you don't expect them to produce their own music. You don't expect them to play all the instruments on their own music. Why do you expect them to write all of the lyrics for all of their songs? A guitarist's job is to play the guitar. A producer's job is to produce the music. A lyricist's job is to write lyrics, and a singer's job is to sing. Sometimes people are multi-talented and they do more than one of these things, and that's great. That's awesome. But that's not always going to be the case, and that's fine. There are several people credited for writing this song. Between them, they've got some pretty interesting, pretty successful artists that they've written for. Credits for Pink, John Legend, Celine Dion, Cher, Backstreet Boys, like a lot of big ones. And it kind of solidifies my belief that all of these people have kind of been scouted out by the music industry. Like, they've taken a big risk, not knowing if they're talented in music really, and giving them a platform for music. But they also, at the same time, know that if it's terrible, it's successful because it's a meme. If it's good, it's just successful. Either way, it's money. But like I said, I think Dixie D'Amelio is the best example of kind of turning someone into a product. She's not in the writer credits for any of the songs she's done, which, like I said, is fine, but it really kind of confirms my belief that she is just a product. You know, it seems like she's put on standby until they run across a song that would be good for her, as opposed to Jaden and Lil Huddy, who, while they still seem like they've been kind of turned into products by the music industry, they at least seem to have some input with what they do. They're still on the writer credits, which makes me think that they've got kind of more control over their music than Dixie has. Now I want to talk about Jaden. Now, his first single, Comatose, isn't his most popular, but like I said, I want to stick to their first singles. And Comatose also is my favorite. Though admittedly, a lot of that is because the genre just is something I enjoy more. He's more in the alternative genre. Once he started kind of finding himself and what he wants to do, he started incorporating a lot more like rap and hip hop, even a little bit of pop. But even though he was incorporating these things, he still stayed with like the alternative genre. And in the writer and producer credits, there's not really anyone associated with a whole lot of big names, with the exception of some guy named Refayat Ali, who is credited on IMDb as Jacob Sartorius's composer. I'm not quite sure what that means, but he is that. It seems that out of the three, Jaden has the most say in his music. He's got the most control over his career. And the fact that there are no huge names in the writing credits kind of confirms that to me. He is signed to DTA Records, which is the label owned by Travis Barker, like started by Travis Barker. If you don't know who he is the only member of Blink-182 who is still relevant. Don't at me with Mark Hoppus being in a band with the guy from All Time Low. And Travis Barker is the most relevant out of those guys because he has changed and adapted with the way that the alternative scene has changed, instead of complaining that it changed and just refusing to change. At Tom DeLonge. Lyrically, Comatose is probably the best out of the three that I'm talking about. It's not the most complicated lyrics ever. They're pretty easy to understand, which is fine. Lyrics don't have to be so complicated that they take like hours of research to decode. Declan McKenna. His song does kind of give off a more 2005 kind of vibe. Kind of reminds me a bit of like Breaking Benjamin and 3 Days Grace, like that kind of scene. And honestly, I think it's really good. Like, his music is fantastic. There's not much else to say about this one, just because at least at the beginning of his career, it seems like it is mostly him and his own team putting in the work. The third and final person on this list is Lil Huddy. He recently came out with his first single called 21st Century Vampire, which is what inspired the idea for this video. Now, when Dixie D'Amelio came out with her song, I was going to make a video about how terrible it was. But then I listened to it and I realized it's really not that bad. It's a pretty good song. And then when I heard that Jaden Hossler was about to start coming out with music, kind of same thing. And then with Lil Huddy, something snapped, because I listened to that song just knowing it was going to be awful. And just like with Jaden, I end up genuinely loving it. Now, this song was released 3 days after Machine Gun Kelly's long-form video for his latest album, where he kind of switched to more alternative. A lot of people have been comparing it to Blink-182. And the reason I bring that up is because Lil Huddy plays like the protagonist in this long-form video. And oh, who is the drummer in this video, you ask? Travis Barker. Oh, that's crazy. Wait, who produced this album? Travis Barker? Ooh, foreshadowy. So like I said, his first song, 21st Century Vampire, really surprised me. I looked at the credits, and just like Jaden, he is listed as one of the writers. And the others aren't like super huge writers, you know, they don't have like an insane, incredible amount of like huge, successful songs or artists under their name. Like they've got a couple, but nothing super extraordinary. Except for one, Jacob Kasher Hindlin. Now you've probably never heard his name before, but Jacob Kasher Hindlin has written songs for Avril Lavigne, Charlie Puth, Jennifer Lopez, Meghan Trainor, David Guetta, Fifth Harmony, Juicy, Usher, Lipa, Lil Wayne, The Vans, Sierra, Jason Derulo, Thomas Rhett, Leona Lewis, Flo Rida, The Vans, Kylie Minogue, David Guetta, Trace, Zara Larsson, One Direction, and an entire Maroon 5 album. He's also signed by Geffen Records. They are a part of UMG, or as you may know them, the reason why YouTubers never make any money. Unless you're David Dobrik, in which case you can steal a song from Mika, not credit him, and make it your intro song. So this song, 21st Century Vampire, is the most 2005 thing I've ever heard. Now, it's not the greatest thing lyrically. Again, they're all pretty simple, pretty straightforward. He just kind of parallels his life to being a vampire. The only line I really take issue with is, "I'm howling at the moon." That's werewolves, Chase. You're thinking about werewolves.
I am a wolf.
And I know I said I would be focusing on their first singles, but as I was writing this video, he came out with a new song called The Eulogy of You and Me, and I would just like to say a few words. Get it? Eulogy? Okay. The writing credits for this one include all but one of the people who were credited for writing the last one. He was replaced by a couple of other people. In the writing credits is Travis Barker. Travis Barker also produced this song, along with Great Value Link Neal, Andrew Goldstein. And the more I've looked into it, the more I realized that Travis Barker actually does a lot behind the scenes for like alternative music of today, most notably like Youngblood and MGK. So why is TikTok music actually good, with exception? Is it because music executive bigwigs scoop these kids up while they're young, impressionable, and popular, and then turn them into a product? Is it because they often have highly popular writers and producers who know what's going to gain traction and popularity? The answer is yes, both of these things. But at least in Jaden and Lil Huddy's case, it's also because Travis Barker is some immortal god of alternative music. And honestly, learning about how much Travis Barker is currently doing in this scene kind of changed the entire outline for this video. I think more millennials need to learn something from Travis Barker instead of mocking Gen Z and trashing them because they aren't into the exact same things as you are, and they've kind of come up with their own form of entertainment, and they've changed the entertainment that we used to like. Instead of trashing them for that, learn to adapt. Remember when boomers used to trash us for liking YouTube so much? And now when they need help updating their phone, what do? We send them a YouTube video. Also, one last thing that I would like to point out. In doing the research for this video, I came across a lot of salty millennials who just heard that the song was by a TikToker and immediately hated it. They wouldn't even give it a chance. And honestly, like I said, I did go into listening to these songs expecting to hate it, but I still gave it a fair shot. And that's something that I feel like millennials are really bad at. You know, we're old enough, we know what we like, but a lot of us are also stuck in a rut listening to the same 30 songs by My Chemical Romance over and over for the rest of our lives. Gen Z is seeing the good parts of what millennials did, what they listened to, and they're expanding on that. When I heard Jaden and Lil Huddy were about to start making music, I did not expect it to be reminiscent of Breaking Benjamin, 3 Days Grace, Mayday Parade. But honestly, I think that they're doing a good job with the alternative genre. Your tastes and your interests should change a bit over time. Give things a fair shot. You may think you're gonna hate it, and you give it an honest try, and you end up surprised. Anyways, guys, that's all I really have for you. I hope you enjoyed this video because I've never done this much research or taken as many notes as this for any video I've ever done. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. You can also subscribe to me if you really liked me. That'd be pretty cute. Please subscribe or I will cry. Anyways, guys, see you in the next video. Okay, bye!